Hello, welcome back to From Graphic Journal to Graphic Novel. So let's make a real podcaster microphone. Perfect. January, Happy New Year. And in today's episode of From Graphic Journal to Graphic Novel, I want to talk about mourning the graphic journal to create the graphic novel, killing the graphic journal to create the graphic novel. It's something I talked about a little in the last creation journal email here on Patreon, and yeah, I thought I wanted to show you and talk more about this. I guess, it could be interesting. I realized that I'm still not into talking about like the content of the next graphic novel I want to do, but maybe because I there is a lot to say of the form. For example, I was drawing, you know, a little. I don't remember. It's like it's a graphic novel. It will be around like I want to talk about masculinity, and there will be one part which is from my graphic journal, and there will be one part that will be from journals that are not mine, and I want to draw this part. I didn't show it a lot here yet, and the idea will be drawing those other journals that are not mine as a sort of flashback in a different style. And I at the beginning, when I started drawing this book, I write down the idea and I started drawing some of my graphic journal, my experience, and then putting into graphic novel those written journals. And I was working as a ping pong match, tennis match, colors and black and white, and then it became too messy in my head, and I had to stop like 6 months. Also because I have to work, to live, so I have to find other ways like to do my job, like tattooing and the classes and these kind of things. Um, why I was saying this? Because mm, why I lost my train of thought. Anyway, it's okay. A lot of side quests. The thing is that yeah, I remember now. The part of from my graphic journal around masculinity, it's like my lived experience as a sort of auto fiction, auto theory, because this time I want to put in it. Every time I want to talk about some theme, I don't want those words to be mine. I want to use words from other books, like source, quoting the source into the drawing. But yeah, it's a sort of mm, continue in the continuous of like from after Play with Fire and Transformer, uh, Play with Fire, the coming out, and the coming out as a lesbian, and then a coming in around the gender. Transformer is the coming out as a trans man. But this book, I want to be it to be around masculinity, and also like I've transitioned I transitioned uh, when I was 40. I started when I was like 41, and it's been 5 years. And so now that I pass, at least when people see me, I don't pass by the telephone, never. Uh, but in some way, when I go into the world, people see me as a man, which is what I feel. But in the meantime, it's very weird because it's not like as I socially feel. I lived as a woman socially for 40 years, so I feel connected, and I'm my experience in the world is as a woman. And so like I found it fun and interesting, I guess, to talk about this in the book. And of course there are um, some trans milestone into this book. For example, I wanted to talk about my top surgery, my getting rid of the boobs. And in those pages I'm working in, right now. I spent like the whole holiday, Christmas holidays, holiday season, how do you call it, to recenter on myself and stay alone the more I can, um, and to draw and to stay into this part of around the top surgery. What I wanted to say, I don't want this I didn't want this to be like uh, I hate my body, or I I didn't hate my body. I just feel more comfortable like this. And anyway, side questing. The thing is, I arrived to draw the moment in which I had my surgery, and with the painkiller, I had this amazing, whimsical experience. I was like so stoned on painkillers after the operation, and I was like laying in the bed, and I wasn't sleeping, but I had the eyes closed, and uh, I felt like my body was suddenly in the cosmos, like into the sky of the universe. And I felt like I had this long hair, and above me there were these black figures, like presents, but they that were very kind and very loving. And I was like laying on my bed, and I had this this character, this presence, very, very, very tall, and they were over me, and they brushed my hair, and I felt this very long hair, and it was amazing, but also a little scary because I wasn't dreaming. I was like just tripping, and so I opened the eyes, and it was like, oh my, it was so too much. And then as soon as I closed the eyes again, I went back to this like sort of dimension, and it was very strange because when I opened my eyes, I wasn't sleepy. I wasn't like, oh, like feeling weird. I was very awake, and I was like, what was this? And then I closed the eyes, and I was back there in this very magical experience, and I got scared. And so I I opened my eyes, and I say, okay, it's okay. And I wanted to talk about this in my book. And of course, when you want to transform and tell a story, what I did, it's I changed a little. I say that this was just like after the operation. I needed this moment like to be some sort of, okay, operation, whimsical, magical moment, and then we can go on with the story. It was more romantic than just waking up after the operation and trying to pee, or something like this, trying to poop after the anesthesia. Um, anyway, when I started writing this book, and I found this email I've sent from Substack in January or February 2024, 2 years ago, in which I said, I'm starting thinking and working on the next book, this one. At that time, Patreon didn't have the option to send email, and Patreon was for me like only the place for the graphic journal practice class. There, this from graphic journal to graphic novel space is pretty new. So, like 2 years ago, I started sketching the storyboard, And while I was working on the book those days, I came across this part of the storyboard that I needed to draw for the for make like the page. And the drawing is very like is very rough, and it's not very interesting. Maybe I don't know. For me, it was. It's the thing is that in order to see it, I trace it in black, but before it was just like blue lines. And I found that even if it's very simple, I find that two lines, but I it kept the mood, the feeling that I wanted to share. Um, and so, as I always do, this is not from the graphic journal, because I use the graphic journal to do the storyboard. And I cannot find those this drawing because I didn't draw. I just described it. Ok, dove sta? Bear with me. Okay, I cannot find it, and also who cares? If I find it, maybe it was in this graphic journal. It's very weird. No, I guess it's just text. Ding, ding, ding. Sorry, sorry. Okay, never mind. So I wanted to redraw this page, and I want to keep the same aspect. And so in the storyboard page, I had like these two character, and then I have like this. Those are my feet, and I have these like entities over me, and I wanted to give this image like I'm just seeing my feet and seeing them. And then so I take this storyboard and I try to redraw it. And so I did this, but I wasn't happy with the result, because I guess I found that the the drawing was like too tight. I couldn't find this mood, so I drew it again, and it's even worse, I guess. So I was like, okay, okay, what can I do? And I was like, um, then I did some other pages, like maybe I just have to use a different way of drawing, because I'm like into this anesthesia. And so I wet the paper, and I just draw on the wet paper, like just me um, on the bed after the operation. But even though I like to draw this kind of like more messy drawing, this is not the style of the book. Maybe I say to me, maybe I can just draw black and white, very messy, but I, I wasn't enjoying what I did. And so I decided to change a little bit of the storyboard. And let to give to give the impression of this moment. As I said, I wanted to put this moment like from when I was unconscious during the anesthesia, because I thought that it was more powerful in the story. And so I started by drawing as a like woo, uh, this is the page about my operation. So here we have like um, the surgeon operating, and this is down is the surgeon or the nurse taking off the thing to breathe. And I have, when I listen back to those videos also for the graphic journal club class, I know that my pronunciation is horrible, and when I hear it I'm like, "But you don't say this like this." But when I talk, I guess it's too much work, and so sorry for my pronunciation. Anyway, I started the page to give this. Okay, I start, my bed is in this sort of cosmic black, and then instead of like starting with me sleeping and then my feet, I did the opposite, and I put this sort of washi tape pink to give this absurd framing. I don't know, I found it funny. And so it starts with like me being on the bed, those are my feet, those are my arm, and here you can see the bandage from the operation, and my long hair going to this character, and then finally I have my page in which I have the initial idea. So it's me happy sleeping with those long hair that are just a dream for me now, thanks to testosterone and balding like hell. And those character that are like brushing, massaging my hair. And then there is me that I just like woke up for a second. And then when I close the eyes again, there are it's me again like sleeping, and then here we have like a sort of foreshadowing of the character of the other journal, and this is the first time we see this character. I'm going to talk about him later. I did some ways in my newsletter on Substack 2 years ago, but for those who follows, you know who this person is, or maybe you can guess. um, but anyway, so those are the pages. I put a mess, and while I'm put back my drawings into the plastic sheets, I want to close this little podcast with some questioning for you and for me. I mean, in the creation journal from last month, I talked about how to create the graphic novel. I have to grieve, kill and grieve the graphic journal. Um, and I have already talked about this, but if you don't know it, before Play with Fire and Transformer, which are out only in France and Italy for now, I made another book called Born to Lose, and Born to Lose, it's only out in Italy. Anyway, Born to Lose are my graphic journal selected and put into a book. There is no storyboard, there is no redrawing, there is no rewriting the story. And I have it here. Born to Lose is just like a selection of my journals from 2011 to I guess those are to 2013. And so I was talking about this. I was talking about, okay, to create a graphic novel, I take the graphic journal, I turn it into storyboard and all. But as you can see, I enjoy to keep these lines, like the pages. I want them to look like I've just put them, like put the drawing on paper. For two reasons, I guess. First reason is when I read a graphic novel, I have a lot of like concentration issues, reading issues, comprehension issues when the graphic novel is very structured, like mm, the case and like the character you see just once, and like how do you say, like mm, who is talking and the landscape, like classical graphic novel language. For me, it's very difficult to read. I don't know why. um, I love when there is like when the character stays into the scene, um, even if like it's draw as changing in the audio because my microphone went out of battery, and luckily I saw this, and I saw that there were no more audio. So we are finishing with this sort of question. I was saying, I hope you can hear me. And the question is, I was saying that of course there are exceptions like Julie Dosset or Los Bros Hernandez. There are like old Julie Dosset. There were like comics that were very in the structure of the comics, even though we know the genius Julie Dosset broke those structure during the years and reinvented it for all of us that don't want to follow the structure of the page. But to be back into this, from graphic journal to graphic novel, I take notes of what I wanted to talk about. And in my notes there were, okay, I have to kill and murder the graphic journal, because sometimes I love the fact that in the graphic journal the drawing, it's very rough, it's very how do you say, it's very instinctive, but in order to make a story, the story needs a more a structure, like in the storytelling, more clarity, also more rhythm. And so my question is, when do I know that my page is finished? How can I keep this freshness of the graphic journal, this energy, this dynamic, but in the meantime, make faire en sorte, how do you say in English, make happen the fact that the person who read my comics may understand what I do. And this is my very big question of the moment, because maybe because I have a lot of difficulty in writing and reading, and so I know that my pages aren't like the more easy to read, but also I want to stay true to myself. So for for example, in those days, I'm working around those moments in which I have um, my surgery, and so I have this double page which is from 2023 when I did my surgery, and it's my journal, so I know what's happening. So here it's me with my friend Angela, which is Paula in my books, that she take me to the appointment. I'm in Paris, and I say day 5 post operation. Today check-in appointment with my surgeon to see the result. And down here I have while Justine, which is Aileen in my book, while Justine headed to the station to pick up Mina, because my daughter, Mimi in the books, she came for the weekend in Paris before I went back to La Rochelle after my operation. After school, it was a Friday, and she came. And then this is I draw this moment in which my surgeon, I was in the studio, and he took off the bandage, and then he said to me, give me your hand and we go to the mirror. And it was very cute. He's a very cute guy, and he took me by the hand, and we went in front of the mirror. And so I know the emotion behind those moments. There is me waiting with my friends, with my friend that stays with me, and then there is just here, knowing that my partner is going to pick up my daughter, so after the operation I can see my daughter, and then there is this moment. But to put it on a page, this is not enough to communicate what I feel here that you cannot see. So what I try to give an emotion, so I made this page, and I have so we have me with my friend Angela, as you see in the graphic journal, but then in blue there is Justine that go to the station and say Mina, and Mina who's arriving and say, yeah, hey, I'm coming. And then while they do this, I'm there, I'm stressed, and my friend say, Daje, it's a Roman to say, let's go, let's, like, all is good. And there is the surgeon who called me, and then we see the surgeon taking off the bandage, and then there is this page in which he said, give me your hand. Can you see it? Give me your hand. Let's go in front of the mirror. And then there is this big drawing. We can see him giving to the character the hand, and my character says, sono io, it's me. And so I hope that this is the reason I try to create this. Okay, this happened, but what happened before, what was in my mind, what happened next. And so I try to do this. And also I enjoy so much doing this kind of, like, drawing a background, and then the character is like on paper, then I cut the paper and I glue it on it. I love to do this. I don't know why I felt the need to do this in the scene with the surgeon. I've showed this to you already, but I was so happy to do this. When the first time I go to the surgeon, and he came out of the door, and so even though the graphic novel is printed and no one will do this, but I enjoyed doing this. So you can open the door. Okay, like this. So, but I know that I could take those pages that I draw in my graphic novels. I know that I could take those pages and then clean those drawings once more. I could do this. I could use this as a sort of mood board of what I want, and then I could go over again and maybe clean the lines, or maybe think about doing few coloring with the Procreate on the iPad. Even though I use some Procreate on the iPad at the very end to clean when it's too messy, to help people to read, to don't find myself in the very same situation of having a book which is very difficult to read. At least people told me this when this came out in 2017. So I listen and I try. But I know that I could do, for example, this. I can be more clean. But how to know if a page is finished or not? Am I allowed to leave like line and stains like this or not? And I don't have an answer to this for now. Maybe you have an idea and you can tell me. Thanks for watching. If you are watching this, you are probably on Patreon. If you are not, because maybe I share it maybe with on the YouTube, or sometimes I like to share some free content in order to give people the will to come on Patreon. And it's from graphic journal to graphic novel tier, it's €5 a month plus the taxes, which is like a cappuccino in Starbucks a month, and these support me during the time I take to do this. You are not obliged, of course, but if you think that you want to read this comic and you want to support me while I'm here drawing, thinking about does my page is over or not, consider to subscribe. Thank you so much, and see you next month. And see you or hear you, I don't know if you are watching this or hearing this, anyway, next month. Ciao!